We're gonna start recording. Okay. And we're going hot in five, four. Hi everybody, this is the one and only Mr. Dennis Diaz, Commander-in-Chief of the Diaz Task Force that rescues men, women, and children from sex and human trafficking. And today, regardless of what network, SM Radio, iHeartMedia, and so on, you want to fire this thing up because today is going to be an insane day. Believe me. And not so long ago, I was on Facebook looking at different type of things. And what you guys are about to encounter and the conversations that we're going to have, trust me, let's just say that something about CPF might be involved in this. Some people might know it as DCF as well. Um, get ready, tune up, and let's start right now. By the way, as you guys already know, my Corporal is also here on the house. Tank, Corporal Tank, how are you, big brother?
Doing pretty good today. How you doing, sir?
All ready to fire up this airways, that's for sure. So, like I was telling you guys before a couple minutes ago, I was on Facebook looking around, trying to learn more about human and sex trafficking, and I stumbled upon a chat type of thing, a page or something that was talking about CPS. Now, some people might also know it as DCF, and so I wanted to see what they were talking about and the cases when it comes to human and sex trafficking. And all these people, I'm talking over 40,000 people in different programs and different groups, different Facebook pages that were saying a lot of things that are really similar. So I contacted one person to see if he wanted to go ahead and join in the show. That show will happen in the near future. But then I contacted this beautiful mom. Her name is Nina, and we started talking yesterday. We spent over 3 hours talking throughout the course of yesterday. Our last conversation, when I introduced her to Tank, it was an hour and a half. I mean, this woman has not only stories to tell, but real life experiences of what happens. Just, you know what? This is exactly how we're going to start. Nina, welcome.
Hi, thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be here today. I think it's an important topic for us to address the social injustices that is going on in CPS, DCS, the Family Preservation Act. It does not exist. There is no safety for our children. Um, just recently, today, I seen another man that had 9 children that were placed with him, and he sexually assaulted all of them. These are placements by our government, by these agents that do not vet the people that they place our children with. So, how can they say that they have secured and safety for these children when they remove them from a home? We don't really know what's going on. There's no accountability. There's no way to verify. There's no way to check on these children. And I stumbled just like you, Dennis, on a woman who is getting a bill put up in Massachusetts. It's called Leslie's Law, where all these agencies would have to vet their employees to wear cameras from the very first interaction with the parents and the children, so there could be no room for error or fraudulent reporting, and equip the children with a medical alert device so we don't have these missing children anymore by government officials, as well as having cameras inside and outside the property of any foster home, kinship home, or facility. And that's just one measure that needs to be done aside from training. If they had actual training in human trafficking, we wouldn't see this problem repeating over and over and over again. And it's important. A lot of people are coming forward now saying, hey, I was abused in my foster care. I was better off in my home. If my family was somewhat dysfunctional, I was better off there than I am with these people they placed me with. And it is children for profit. And if anybody studies human trafficking, anytime you make a profit off of somebody else, that is trafficking. So our government is doing it in front of everybody with the facade that they are preserving families and keeping children safe. And here in Arizona, it's been a big problem. We had a young girl, Emily Pike, rest in peace. She ran away from a foster facility. They had 89 service calls at this placement. They've had multiple runaways, and this young woman was found dismembered on our highway. We have 11 feds here right now investigating the violence out here on the reservation for our indigenous population with the children and vulnerable adults, because it is an ongoing problem and nobody wants to address it. We have to literally get rallies, get activists, and make a big stink to get the attention that we need, that the government is not doing what they say they're supposed to do. And they get billions of dollars of funding for these programs. And it's heartbreaking. The corruption is deep. It goes within the CPS and DCS offices, the police office, the judges, we have senators who are getting in trouble for molesting and abusing children. What does that tell you? We need to revamp our whole system. And there is a lot of good tools out there. I sent you a lot of links where people can get educated for free or for a small fee, so that we can learn how to be aware, know what the right agencies to report it to, how to use the internet to our benefit, how you can become a mandatory reporter, how you can work within the agencies to help solve this problem. It's like a hydra. You cut one area off and another head grows, because you've got to get it at the root. The root is keeping families together, keeping children safe, and education.
Absolutely, and it's funny that you actually mentioned Emily Pipe. So when that name somewhat sounded familiar, so I asked ChatGPT, "Hey, who is Emily Pipe? You got anything on that?" And Emily Pipe, um, this is what he says. Emily Pipe was a brilliant teen living in a state licensed group home in Mesa, Arizona. She had a history of running
We're freezing. You're
away,
freezing. There we go.
reportedly due to that. She was reported missing after allegedly sneaking out of her bedroom window. Tragically, her dismembered body, that means she was chopped away, were discovered on February 14th, 2025, about 100 miles away from the group home. And it says that it was near Highway 60 in Gala County. And it's an ongoing investigation with Gala County Sheriff's Office, and asking the community to respond, and they put a 75,000 reward on her to find the murderer that did this to her. So there you go. Just I wanted to show you guys like what she's saying, and this is not scripted. What she's saying, there's facts to it that we can actually tie it in. And if you guys go and just simply Google Emily Pipe missing or missing child Emily Pipe, all that information is gonna be there. Also, you guys can go to ABC 15, and there you're gonna see the news broadcast and the story that was done on her. So, Nina, you got this. You telling the truth. I know
Yes,
you are. And
there is a huge thing. I'm really big on truth and transparency, because without that, there's no accountability. So, in my personal experience, I was separated from my children in 2015. I had my mom and I were going through a really hard time, and I obviously didn't have the coping skills I needed. So I'm not saying intervention wasn't necessary, but separation, isolation, and dissociation was a total violation of not just our constitutional rights, but then it breeds more dysfunction in our children because they don't offer the services. I wasn't offered any services. I was made homeless. I had to sleep in public bathrooms so that my children would be at my house and they would be safe. And it still wasn't good enough. So my mom is an aging elder with a disability, and there was already a report from the Department of Justice that this agency targets vulnerable adults with disabilities and their special needs children because it's more money for them, for their agency. So they took my kids and they put them in a foster home and had them separated. For one, they're supposed to be able to keep these children together. They're brothers. They're going through trauma. This is something new. You don't cause more trauma on
And
top of
you
that.
know, yeah,
Right. You're just creating a bigger problem.
absolutely.
And so then they decided that they were going to do another kinship placement. And I said, no, that is not the right place to put them. Not only are this family is known for grooming incestuous relationships with the children, they had a sex crime in their home in Mesa a year and a half prior between two of their siblings, two of their children. They were siblings. One was obviously an adult and the other one was a minor. I says, do not put my children there. They are in danger. They would not listen to me. They said I was crazy. That's what they've always said. You're just crazy, Miss Watts. I am not crazy. You guys are doing wrong and you're not helping my family. And how can I get my life together for your benefit or for your quota or your status quo that you want me to be, right? How can I do this if I'm constantly in my mind worried about my children and their safety?
Absolutely.
So my children were showing up with black eyes at the meetings. They did not want to get back in the vans to go back to these elders' home. My youngest son was only 3 and he had a rash so bad they had to demand that they send him to the hospital to get treatment. That 10-year-old girl was molesting my 3-year-old son because it's what she's been taught her whole life. My son's father is a second-time sex offender because he was also raped and groomed by his father. These two elders have crimes with children involved across 3 states. And here DCS says, yeah, here, take these kids. You're a great placement. Miss Watts is crazy. I had an addiction and I have now 7 years in recovery. Never was I offered rehab. Never was I offered detox. Never was I offered treatment. So, how can you say that you have reunification, intervention, and services for your family? They don't. They pick and choose, right? So, if you have a lawyer and you have money, you're good. If you get appointed a lawyer by a state, who is that person representing? The state. So if I get a job, who is paying me? That's who I represent. So even if they're paying me to advocate for someone else, I'm still responsible and obligated to the person who's paying my paycheck. Plain and simple. That's like logic. It's common sense. So my oldest son had to attempt to commit suicide so that he could get taken out of there. To this day, he still holds guilt that he could not save his little brother. The judge still signed off on the adoption. The foster board, which is a bunch of people at the courthouse, and you sit down with them. I had told them this family has these problems. This is not a safe place for my kids. Why aren't you getting my youngest one out of there? They dismissed all my concerns and they signed the adoption. The judge just signed on it. As soon as that ink hit that paper, they fled Arizona back to Minnesota. So when I was facing a DUI, so I only did 6 months. They severed my rights 2 months early. That was another violation of my constitutional rights and their program that they put, their laws, right? So they're allotted so much time for reunification. They cut me short. They accused my mom of horrible things that were not true. My son had to get sent to a group home. And then he said during his placements, like they placed him several places, they didn't have beds. He slept on the floor. So you're getting funding from our government and you can't even supply a bed or a safe room for these children, then you shouldn't have a license to foster. Period.
Absolutely.
You should be
So
prepared.
another thing is,
Mhm.
I have experience in this as well. Um, Similar story. I was taken away from my mom when I was 6 years old. By what you know as CPS, we call it down here DCF. And I was in these facilities where they house hundreds and hundreds of kids, and the facilities were no better. The staff used to beat us, make us fight each other for additional privileges. They would call a 2 minute session. We'd have a 2 minute session where you had to fight another kid. The staff used to, just do some of the most horrific things to the children there, from running them over if they ran away. There's this one child. His
Right.
name was Jacob Cintron. And they ran him over, and he broke every bone in his body. And they wrote in the incident report, mind you, this kid, he was like 15 at the time, I think, and they ran him over with the van. And in the report, they put that he ran into a tree. How the hell do you run into a tree and break every bone in your body to the point where you're in a full body cast? And
Right.
these are the
That's
facilities that I were in. The
right.
facilities that I was in Connecticut. Six of them that I was in, all got shut down for the amounts of abuse that goes on. So I am 100% certain um, that these things are actually going on, even in foster care. Um,
Yes.
it's
It's
it's it's ridiculous. It's
it is
absolutely
sad.
uncalled for. And the fact that they've been doing this for years and there hasn't been any consequences for them. We do something, we go to jail. They do something, they get more funding. I don't
That's
believe that's the way it should go.
that's correct. They get more funding. So with
And the other thing is, when somebody goes into foster care, the foster parents get a check. They get paid for fostering a child, and it's an incentive program.
that's
And
correct.
when there's not a lot of foster families that will take a child that's 3 years old, 2 years old, 6 years old, or teenagers. They want newborns. So the ones that will take the 3 year olds, the 2 year olds, the 6 year olds, the 10 year olds, they're predatorial, and it's a fact. They want underdeveloped children for certain sick things. And I know this to be true. I was in a foster care. I was in a couple foster cares. I I know how it goes. I've been abused by a family before. To the point where I ran away and ran to the police department and begged for them to put me back into a DCF facility, which I got abused there too. So it was like there was no escape. There was
Right.
none.
There is no safe place for you.
Hmm.
And nobody
So
believes in
I'm
children.
no one believed me because they would write it up in incident reports that I was acting up. I had I was crazy because I had an imaginary dog when I was a kid. Um, because never had a dog and never had a family, so I would, and nobody really liked me. All the kids used to beat me up, and all the staff used to beat me up. And when you feel lost and you're scared and you think you're gonna die, what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit there and accept that reality, or you're gonna make your own reality, especially as a child with the imagination. I started making a bed for imaginary dog, and they thought I was crazy.
And
Really, I was confused.
So Nina,
what's
what
sad
from this? Absolutely. What's going on, Nina?
what's sad is that children that have a great imagination, they do create imaginary friends even if they're in a good home, and that's actually a sign of intelligence. Okay,
Hmm.
so these children get abused, they get beaten, they get treated like slave labor. All of those are aspects of human trafficking, and that
I
we
agree.
are allowing our government to do this. And like Tank says, it has been going on for years. So even if we place cameras like Leslie Law wants. We also need to go one step further and have a third party consultant like the Diaz task force. All right. That we get to log in and monitor so that we have people who are geared and studied in forensics, so that we can watch and we monitor people's behaviors. And not only that, every single one of anybody that wants to work with children or in these placements need to not just be vetted, investigated. Okay. They also need to have training in human trafficking. They need to have a background in mental health, because whenever you take a child out of a home, they are going to exhibit certain behaviors. Now, if you're taking a
Health
child out of
problems.
a loving home, but that's just a little dysfunctional, like my children, okay, their behaviors are going to go from having fits, having anger, isolating, talking back, crying, throwing themselves on the ground. And it's going to be considered, oh, they're a problem child. No, they're not. They are being
Can
exposed.
even it can even cause developmental mental health disorders, including self-harming, and people don't
Yes.
realize that. A lot
It's
of
the,
kids commit suicide when they're taken away from their parents.
and with the
It
amount of
happens.
Right. And the amount of sexual abuse that goes on with these children, what happens, do you think, when they age out of foster care without any proper victim services or resources? They go right into that lifestyle.
Hmm.
They go right into the streets. They go right into drugs. They make the wrong connections because there's no help for them. There's nobody that actually cares. They're there for their paycheck. So when I was at Senator Farnsworth's meeting, a great woman had developed a program at the community level that included volunteers, third party consultants, people that actually cared and that were willing to donate their time to go into anybody's home that was considered a red flag and say, we're here to help you. What do you need for us to help you so that your home is a better environment for your kids? Um, you know, it's not an easy
You're going to
thing.
need to repeat that because you cut all that out, and seems
Yeah.
like it
So
was very.
a woman had developed a program, and I went to Senator Farnsworth's meeting in 2019 where this was the topic of discussion: missing children in DCS and the abuse that's going on. And they had this one guy they paid, probably $500,000 a year, and he was like, well, we just need to do this and bring that. No, 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 no. When you have this many missing
Mhm.
children and you have this many children abused, the whole program needs to be shut down and it needs to be rebuilt. And that is just
Correct.
the facts. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So,
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
So a new program would entail having these third-party consultings, having Leslie's Law invoked across the nation so that there is monitoring 24/7. Um, then also volunteers, right? So you have people who are willing to donate their time because they're not getting paid, that this is something important to them. They want to be a part of the solution. And these people need to have that training so that they're aware of human trafficking. And we have to realize there is so many predators in our society that have gotten away with these crimes now for a millennial. Okay. It's a big problem. So whenever we have vulnerable children in an area, they will gravitate to that. So I don't know if you've heard of the MAP
Absolutely.
program.
Matt?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, it's minor attracted.
What's the Matt?
Uh, Let me look it up. It's a minor attracted something the P stands for. Probably pedophilia, right? So it's adults who have come forward and admit that they have an attraction to minors. And
Okay.
whenever they do that, the government was supposed to flag them on a map, right? So all of this, what is this, transgender dysmorphia? The guy who created that program is actually known to be a pedophile and has had issues with child pornography. He's somebody, and everybody that has studied under him, that should be on the map. Minor attracted problem. And then that way, once the government has flagged these people, they cannot get jobs working with children. They should have communities that are, if we are going to have a sex offender release program, which we already do, and I know personally that the monitoring is not the way it should be. These offenders are not, some of them are third, uh, level 3 sex offenders. They are not supposed to have access to the internet. How do these companies that are getting government funding and also from the tribe, the nation, okay, that they're getting 6 months paid at a time for rent, and rent running $900 per person, and they've got 10 offenders in this house? That's a lot of money. Now, maybe not all of those offenders are level 3, but some of them are, and some of them, their rules are not to be allowed to have access to the internet, yet they have a Wi-Fi box.
Wouldn't that be a contradiction, though?
That is a contradiction. Why isn't the probation now, right? So this is just a third party business. The
Mhm.
government, who's paying these probation officers that are supposed to go and evaluate, assess, and do their checkups, whether it's weekly or monthly, why are they not monitoring this? It's not that hard to put a lock on that Wi-Fi just for the TV, like my son said. Like, it's not that hard to put parental controls so that they don't have access to it, Mom. I said, you're right, son. It's not that hard. So why don't they do it? Why isn't the probation officer running that name every month to make sure no phones, no devices, are popping up under their name, under their social security number? If I can do it and I'm just a civilian, Imagine somebody who works in a government office that has the criminal intelligence network, and we have what's called out here the spider program, right? So
Mm.
why isn't the spider program up to date and monitoring this? Why do I have to be the one to call them? That's why they don't like me sometimes, because I ruffle feathers.
Absolutely, but that's really important when it comes to keeping people honest and accountable. A lot of
Correct.
times the honesty part goes away and they're still not held accountable. So it is great when people such as yourself actually go out there and be like, hey, what's going on here? This is not right. So it's really important that we do this. Other people like to make organizations like the Diaz Task Force, and there's many organizations out there that do the same. We have to hold the people that are supposed to be doing the right thing. We gotta hold them accountable when they start not doing the right thing. And just like you said, if you can put parental control on the Wi-Fi, but you choose not to do it, that's something that we need to hold accountable because you never know. They can be watching porn, watching child porn. And right now it's so easy, so accessible that you can even go on Instagram and find a gateway to child porn. Like this thing is insane. So
It
we
is.
gotta do something about it. Absolutely.
I've been emailing big tech for a while now about the lack of cybersecurity on our social media platforms and why
Oh.
it's a danger, and how they can improve their programming, and they choose not to. They choose not to employ the people that will actually go on there and shut these profiles down and make sure they don't make any more, whether it's from Scamera, which is $1 billion criminal regime. And it's not just overseas, it is also here in the United States. They did a big bust here in Tempe. So we have these scammers that are targeting vulnerable adults and children. And then we have the predators as well. So they're not supposed to be on social media. I had another incident with somebody, uh, two incidents actually, two men that I knew in my past from the streets when I was homeless. One of them was accused of raping his girlfriend, and he came out on a GPS, and he was homeless. And he decided to get his GPS right down like 3 miles on the bus line from my house. I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to get rid of him. I'm going to have to do some covert stuff, right? And I did.
Mhm.
I got him out of my neighborhood. I took him to hotels. We bounced around. I was in contact with his probation officers. I gave him a choice. I says, you can either get into recovery and get into the program of reform, okay? I says, or go back to prison. It's up to you. I said, but I'm not helping you anymore. I've given you all the tools that you need to get your life together. And I threw him back out on the street. And I called his PO and I said, this is your guys' responsibility, not mine. You knew he's been stalking me. You knew that this was going to be a problem, and you guys didn't do anything. You left it in my hands. So if he, and apparently he got shot at, because a lot of people do not like these predators. All
Mhm.
right. So it was very dangerous for him to be out there in that neighborhood, especially I put it all over Facebook. I was like, hey, I put him out. Come get him. I do something with him. He's a
Oh, I
danger.
can't wait for Tank over here to actually get these people. I tell you what,
There was
he's the nice
another
guy.
another incident, another guy that I knew. I got a message in my DM from this woman. She says, we found him in bed with my 12-year-old with
Wait, what?
DNA, with my 12-year-old with
Uh-huh.
DNA. Unfortunately, drugs were involved, a lot of methamphetamines. And I says, well, the drugs, number one, is going to cause that behavior to get bigger, right? So if they are doing some type of drug that causes their sexual peak to enhance, and they already have this pedophilia problem, then it's like mixing fire and gas. It's going to fucking blow. Excuse my language, okay?
No, no,
So
by all means, you can swear all you want. It's
I
okay.
called Apache Junction's sheriff's department, and I confirmed. I says, does this man have an open case for being caught in bed with a child with actual DNA evidence? And they said, yes, he does. I said, well, why hasn't he been picked up? We can't find him. What do you mean you can't find him? He left a GPS tracker at my house, one of those little round ones,
Mhm.
and he gave me a key for handcuffs. What? I don't know. I was just like, whatever. And this was before I knew what was going on. Okay. So I was like, I called Mesa, I called Gil, I called every police department within the vicinity because he's also known to go out onto the reservation. I
Ah,
says he is a danger. Here is all the places that he goes to. This is where his baby's mama is. This is how he operates. I said, so if that evidence comes back that that's his DNA, you guys need to get him. And if that little girl is brave enough to actually testify and it's just not a parent saying something, because there is a difference. So we that's another problem is we've got a lot of vindictive people, right? And in the drug world, they know that this is a crime that gets a lot of attention. So they will utilize that to also control for whatever other reason, right? So when a child, though, comes forward and is able to explain, if they have a good forensics detective and investigator, they know if they're telling the truth or if they're embellishing. That's the
that's correct.
actual, real easy thing. You'll know. You can tell the trauma, the fear, the mannerisms, everything that child is exhibiting, whether they were brainwashed to tell you or whether they actually went through this experience. They won't
Right.
be able to hold back that trauma. So he did end up getting picked up. I don't know what his charges were. I don't know what had happened. I didn't stay on top of that case. I'm just a civilian. I'm trying to live my life too. Um, and I'm thinking, why am I responsible? One, God told me this is my path. My children have suffered. I have studied this on the Minnesota website. There is a huge um, information about incestuous families and pedophiles that you can learn, research on. So when you know that the state has this available for us to read, that means they have this problem in their communities. And without us stepping up and helping them, they can't solve the problem. We can't be afraid to speak. We can't be afraid of retaliation. Senator Farnsworth, he retired because they were threatening his life because that's billions of dollars of funding. Not only that, human trafficking out here is at an all-time high. We're on the border. So when Emily Pike was being abused or whatever was going on in that facility, all she has to do is walk out the door and she is right in the line for all of those traffickers to pick her up. And if we have senators who are bringing their and governors who are bringing all their suits in saying, hey, look at this facility, it's great. And, 3 out of those 10 people are predators. They now know where the children are and which ones they want. Then they get on their burner and they call the trafficker, the people that do the kidnapping. Okay. And they say, here's where she's located. This is the one I want. I'll give you 10 grand. So that guy gets in his van, and out here, you can look it up. It was called Midnight Productions, and they did what we call snuff films. So it was for drug debts, it was for all kinds of sex slavery, it was skin for profit. But what they did is they would record and they would kill their victims on film, and those sell as well.
Went dark again.
Okay. So
You kind of went blank again.
Midnight Productions got busted. They did bust a lot of people, but it's like a hydra. You're not going to stop that criminal organization. As long as there's people that have money that get off on this sickness, there's always going to be a demand. And so they will go look for the supply. We're making it easy for them by placing them in these facilities and causing problems so that these youth are acting out. And like Tank said, he ran away because what else do you do? My son ran away. He hid at a park. That is so vulnerable for these traffickers who get that message with that photo in the area of where to go. And then they go pick them up and then they end up being dismembered or dead or never found because they're taken out of the country. It's a problem, and the more we ignore it, the more it'll grow. Look at P Diddy. You know, the feds have had actual footage for a long time that were huge red flags, but because of the money, and they are afraid because these people They hire hitmen, anywhere from the streets to someone who's unprofessional to professionals.
Yeah,
And
you can actually look online. It I mean to actually hire somebody who's a professional hit.
you cut out. They hired somebody.
I said to hire a professional hitman nowadays it's so easy to do on the dark web. It's not even funny.
It's not funny. So you got to think we've got all these people who struggle financially and struggle with drugs, and they go, "Hey, we give you $2,500, which is like peanuts, right?" But to somebody who gets no money and is out there hustling every day to feed a $50 a habit, $2,500 is a lot of money. We're going to give you poison. You're going to take this poison and you are going to go and administer it to this other person. It happens. And then their death is considered an OD.
And the crazy part on it, when I first started doing this, I learned about the dark web, and I had another friend who is what is also a Marine Corps veteran, and he was also a truck driver. So he's more of like the hacker type, but he
Yeah.
wanted to have two jobs. The white truck driver, I don't know, because truck driver is really demanding. Shout out to
Yeah. And it's
everybody
good
out
money.
there that is a truck driver, 10-4. So, but I started learning about the deep web, the dark web, and this and that. It got to the point where doing the research, and I started getting more deeper and deeper into it, how this stuff actually works. And I was able to get into some back doors, if you know, you know. And literally, it's pretty much like a Facebook Live. And people start coming in, like, or meeting on Zoom. You know that we're going to be doing a mic check about 8:45. I mean, 7:45, about 8 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and go hot. So people zoom in to, like, let's call it Zoom. Zoom. I don't I'm just using it as an example, but everybody start logging in, so on, like a Facebook Live, like a Zoom meeting type of thing, and they start talking about giving expectations of what's gonna happen and this and that. Then it gets to the point they bring the families, and by then they've been beat up and they've been already conditioned to do whatever they want because they know a big rescuing men, women, and children. That part actually came from what I learned from the day web, going through the back door. Because if they kidnap entire families and have them do whatever they want, and they go, these people, male and female, it doesn't fucking matter. Males and females will be auctioning off, and the highest bidder get to decide. This is where I want to happen. I want the dad to fuck the little boy, or the little boy, the mom, and the daughter, and this and that. And towards the end, they actually bet, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. So somebody got a lot of money here to be so sick to do this. And so they bid, and once whoever wins the bet get to decide how they die. And this is all broadcasted live through the
Yeah,
back
that's those
door.
snuff films I was talking to you about. They
It's
make a
freaking
lot of
insane, and
money.
it's real.
It's insane and it's real. And
Like,
we know, with Starlink, with our satellite technology, with, I mean,
you
we
can catch
cooled
this
down.
guy.
I mean, for God's sakes, we helped cool down the Middle East a few years back with our HARP technology, right? Why are we not focusing to a, a group of people with the skills, the software, the hackers, and the programmers that we need to be able to get on these websites and into the dark web so that we can take these down? And you know what? Who cares who they are? I don't care. I don't
No,
care how much money you have. I don't care where you come from. If you are hurting children or other people for profit like that, you have a sickness and you have a problem and you are a danger in our world. And and like you said, these families, will sell their children. And it's not just here in the United States. I can only imagine what you have seen overseas. Okay.
Oh man, in
Uh,
India, it goes everywhere. It goes everywhere.
I,
Especially while we do the you know that they do the wars of Hamas and this and that. That in between, there's
oh,
a lot of things that happens there.
So I have a lot of veteran friends, and my native mother, I call her Shima, and she's a veteran. And we went to the veterans office because she wasn't feeling well, and I'm reading all this stuff because that's me. I like to read and I like to learn, right? So I saw that they actually have therapeutic services for anybody that has been raped, trafficked, or exposed to anything like that overseas. Because sometimes you go into a village and they literally will have a child hooked up to bombs, and like you have to sit there and watch whatever they decide to do, otherwise they're going to set this bomb off. And so a lot of our
So we get killed the child.
yes, so
It
our
happens.
soldiers get exposed to all this stuff in order to save those children. Are like if they come across a trafficking ring overseas, it's 10 times worse because at least we do have some rule and law and order here. We do have good people fighting this good fight. I'll never give up hope that the numbers will increase, that the funding will get better, the victim services will get better. Like that's my specialty, as helping develop programs for victim services so that people can unlearn, get through the trauma, and rebuild their life to something that they enjoy. I don't think we ever get over things like this. You never really, but you can learn to detach. You can learn to rebuild a daily life that you can be happy with. It takes time, it takes support, it takes funding. And the services we have today are crap. So I've gone to the victim services. I've seen what they have to offer. There's no follow up. There's no real classes. There's no real educations. There's no real certifications. There's no real grants. They'll say it all is, but then when you go to apply, you don't get a call back. You don't get an email back. You just get another excuse. Yeah.
Quack, 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 quack,
Yeah.
quack.
So I had a girl who we were talking about the AB or the white pride, Tank and I, last night. I've met a lot of them that are good people and are against these things, and then I've met the other side. It's always two sides of the coin to everyone. Every group, organization, the good and the bad, and then sometimes the ugly. So she married a man that came home from prison, but he had been sober, and they built a life together. Her dad is a Vietnam vet, nice guy, love him to death, great guy, he's awesome. And she didn't really understand all the things that come with being with somebody that comes out from prison, what goes on inside those walls, the ideology, the separation, the rape, the sex between inmates, things like that doesn't get talked about. They'll want to talk about all the fights and stabbings, but let's talk about what goes on in those two cells.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, if he's willing, and do know somebody that went through that crap in the cell. Um, if you want to talk, you can talk. If you don't, we'll move forward in three, two, one. All right. So,
So
I,
I did some prison time, and
So you know.
yeah, I'm very familiar with prison. I understand that even the correction officers are just as bad
Yes.
as the inmates. The warden doesn't do anything. The higher ups, like what we would call brass, like your lieutenants and your captains, and they're it's a gang. The COs, which is also known as correctional officers, they're all gang,
Yeah, they're
all
the
gang.
worst.
They're sometimes worse than the people in there. Um,
Yes.
I mean, I've seen them ransack people's cells and destroy their stuff and um, smash their food around and do whatever they can do as a psychological advantage to make inmates freak out, so that way they can hurt them. It,
Yes.
it's freaking disgusting.
So my mom always had really high powered jobs. You know, she used to sell she worked in semiconductors, and she used to sell the chip for the A bomb to the United Nations generals around the world. And she would go to Puerto Rico and she would do her 5-star point presentation. And, you know, she had a really cool job. And I was like lasered into security back when I was a kid. So I could still see the schematics today. But I remember her and I were talking a lot about how certain organizations or agencies, they pick a certain personality to get and to hire. They do a psychological evaluation and they will pick narcissism, sociopath, schizophrenic, borderline schizophrenic disorder. And these are the people that they hire. And they give a baton, a gun, and a badge and say, okay, now go and uphold justice. What? You know, so if you're in a cell and you have people that need reform, maybe some of their charges aren't bad. Maybe some of them have just been a drug addict their whole life. Okay. And so they sold and bought drugs, which I'm not saying is good, but that's the least to meet crime. Some of it's wire fraud, some of it's banking, some of it's home invasion. So whatever. Our job is to rehabilitate. That is what it's supposed to be. Not just punishment, but also rehabilitation. So when you are dealing with rehabilitating somebody, you need to be able to secure that they are going to have the options and opportunities for that rehabilitation. And then when they come home, they also need that same structure, those same goals, and that same type of support system in order to be a success. You can't expect them to go from a very limited world where, like Tank said, a lot of violence, a lot of rape, even from the COs. Okay. And they get turned a blind eye. Their mental health services inside suck, you know. And so then they come back out here into the real world and they are overstimulated.
Mhm.
They've been
Yeah.
they've been staring at the same colors for 2 years, 10 years, 30 years. Now they're coming out to this big bright world. They're overstimulated and all of these temptations are there.
And now
So
it's 10x.
yes. So now, if they didn't have rehabilitation inside the walls, well, their chances of reoffending are high. The recidivism rate is like 98%. Just like sex offenders, they reoffend at 98.2%. So that means only one, maybe two out of every 100 offenders doesn't reoffend.
So
What is
therefore, the wood chipper is ready
yes?
for that
That's what
98.
So obviously that 1% is very rare. What did that 1% do that's different than the rest? Possibly they were victims themselves and became victimizers. It may be like an indecent exposure charge where they were at the bar, got drunk, and peed in the trash can outside, and now they're a level 1 sex offender. Okay. Those are probably the typical ones that don't re-offend. When we're talking about the ones that rape, molest, penetrate, kidnap, and do all of this, what is a 10-year sentence? Nothing.
They're gonna just do it again.
They're
But
going
I
to do
got
it.
a good question for you, honey, and that is, okay, so let's say if you were talking to a sex offender right now, he's been doing it, he raped, in theory, let's say that he raped 10 women, he raped 3 guys, he raped 8
There
children.
ain't no talking with me.
Oh, we know that. And
I
and also raped 2 skeletons, dug them up and raped them on the whole 9 yards. What would you tell that one person if he was face to face with you? And I'll just leave it at that.
Actions speak louder than words for me.
first of all, I don't know because I would probably, if I was in my home, right, and they came here, I'd have my gun out, and I'm a felon, and I'm not afraid to admit that when I'm in my homeland on my sovereign property, do not mess with me. I will just shoot you because dead men don't tell tales. And I had an offender who fed my dog a condom. Okay. at my gate because I live in a city. There's a lot of offenders. I am very public about my passion to stop these men from reoffending. So if a sex offender will walk up and hurt a dog, imagine what he will do to those children. All right. So I ended up getting security cameras. My ex, who happens to be the father of my baby, um, his first charge was for rape of his half sister, who was 16 and he was 21, and that was in Missouri. And he lied to me and told me it was his girlfriend. He did not tell me it was his sister. So they lie a lot, you know. And then the second charge, now granted, it was in that home where my children were also abused and groomed and molested with the same group of family, because that's how that family operates. I told him, I says, you know how I feel. You are lucky you are outside of prison. You should not have had 3 chances because you got busted once, then you got busted for failure to register, then you got an attempt to molest, and whether the circumstances or the scenario, the only people that know the truth are you, your parents, and that girl. I says, unfortunately, the way your family has raised you guys was that it's okay to do that. So that 10-year-old, she is already at 10, she was already groomed to be with adult men in her family.
And you see that so much.
It's sad and it's sick. And I says, without you admitting and taking accountability to do something different, you are going to find yourself in the same position. It is a lot because I don't even really like to hear from him, right? But I do get information. I get to learn about where they're housed, what offenders are back on drugs, what they're not complying with, how our rehabilitation and reentry program for offenders is not working for the best interest of the community or the victims. So I put myself in that position because I get the information, right? And he texts me and he'll tell me he comes off his meds because he doesn't want to be on them. They make him tired. And he says that he has a beast inside of him. What does that tell you? He has something going on all the time in his mind, and he is a danger to other people and children and anybody that opposes him when he doesn't get his way.
Manipulation.
So a GPS monitor is not enough. If you are going to let these people back out into our community, you need to have them shadowed. You cannot trust them. Oh, okay, you meet somebody by your third date, you have to let them know all your charges and you have to be truthful. Do you think that's going to happen? He's not going to meet them a third time.
There ain't gonna be no third time for sure.
No, he's going to lie and manipulate and play the victim card. And I told him, you were a victim when you were a child. You are no longer a victim. You are a grown adult. You have
No
to
longer a
choose
victim,
to
you're a
change.
predator.
Yeah, he is a predator.
That's
Just
what
like,
he talks about, the beast inside him. We call that being a predator.
yes, that's what I said. What do you mean the beast inside you? Oh, my depression.
It's a
You
beast.
just
I
told
have a
me,
beast of anger that just wants to unleash on somebody like that, and he has the beast of doing sexual deviant things to minors. I
yes,
pray to God. I pray to God when I'm down there. I catch him close to even being by a park. If I see him by a park, dude, I'm fucking uppercutting the dog shit out of him. I promise you.
his whole
Oh,
family's like this. And they're the ones
well,
that are
his whole
doing this.
family deserved to be in one pine box. I don't think we should do multiple pine boxes because that would just cost too much money. I just think we go to
We'll
fucking
bring in the wood
Lowe's.
chipper. How about that?
Yeah, we could do that.
With the
Some
wood chipper?
fucking soil, some Miracle Grow.
This
If we
is
don't have
why
territorial plants, we don't want to do that either.
this is why this summer I am very adamant on getting the emergency removal filed for my youngest son. And I have been looking for attorneys left and right. I've probably contacted over 100. None
Oh,
of You froze.
Radio. You know who you are. Number one, thank you and welcome to the show. And number two, if you are an attorney out there would love to help on the Diaz Task Force, help us out and help this lady out. I'm gonna put everything is gonna all the contact information, the networks, the socials, everything is gonna be there. By all means, contact her directly, or you can contact us and we'll contact her directly. She really needs an attorney, but not anybody else. We want somebody to help her that is passionate, that really want to make a difference. Her son, right now, right? Your son
Yes, and he's
is
11.
still out
So
there. This is live. This is really happening. So if
he's
your
getting,
lawyer, go
you
ahead,
know,
sweet.
he's getting into puberty, and it's a proven fact that this is the crucial time to get him removed from them, so that grooming and that brainwashing and all those learned behaviors that he thinks are normal, we can correct it and teach him different. Because once puberty hits, it causes a change in a chemistry in the brain where this stuff gets like cemented into there, and it's that much harder. And I don't want him to grow up to be like his father.
Absolutely. So there you go. You heard from the mother herself. So it's really important. If you're a lawyer, by all means, if you're a sponsor, by all means, help us out. We want to help her. We want to make sure that her child is back with her. She's a great woman. She's safe, the whole nine yards. And the problem is, and my biggest fear is, as he stays, we are going to be the ones to that are going to have to second for the wrong things. Right now, although he might have trauma and so on, still in that pivotal point that
Yeah,
things can go a much better way. Yes,
yeah.
everybody can change at any time, but this is the best time. So if you want to donate, by all means, you guys want to contact her. Everybody that is on the news and so on, by all means. Some people are paying subscription for this. If you're in XM Radio, some of you guys are sponsored with Pandora. Also, our media, everybody, help her out, help us out. We, the DS Task Force, we focus on rescuing men, women, and children from sex and human trafficking, including these pedophiles, child predators, you guys see them on the hunt, and everything else. But also, we like to help prevent it. And one of the best ways that you guys been hearing all day today, live, well, recorded live, is a mother like her children still in custody while this is happening. So we cannot do anything else that is more real than this. Go ahead, Nina. I just wanted to make sure if anybody's listening, I'm talking to you. You listening right now, downloading this, you listening. We need your help. Can you please help us out?
Yes, please help my son. He deserves a chance to grow up free from grooming, pedophilia. Um, just, in the last couple of years, his cousin raped and murdered a 2 year old. These are the type of people that are around my son, and the government placed them there, and they have done nothing to help. My oldest son has come forward to the police department. He is striving. He's back home. I've been co parenting with the family that adopted him. He's a great kid, and he has gone through so much, and he gives me hope that when we can get them at crucial, like you said, rescue them and get them out of these situations, and then offer the correct services and the correct support group and discipline, so that they can grow and triumph over their tragedies. They can become successful in life.
Quick
There is no
question.
stopping them.
The family that adopted your eldest son, would they be interested in adopting the other child?
Oh, yes, they already said it. Nina, if you get this, we have no problem bringing him home and doing the same thing we did for your oldest son, and have you, they would treat it like an open adoption
So
where I
that
could.
right, that right there is going to be crucial key for any kind of lawyer to be able to fight for your son to get out of that living cell.
Yes, and they are also
It's
a
my thing.
sovereign
It's
tribe.
my thing. Great. Great idea. I'm sorry. Yeah, great.
No.
I love it.
And so they're a sovereign tribe. And when they adopted my oldest son, they reached out to this family because indigenous law means that those two boys were allowed to talk and have a relationship because they're brothers. And they refused it. Anytime anybody gets too close to knowing the truth, they disappear, they change their numbers, they change addresses. I mean, I've had CPS showing up at their door since 2019, and they're really good at hiding. They he is a preacher, okay, of the streets. He went to school online and got a certificate to be a minister. He is not no minister. He does 50-cent yard sales in front of his house. He's had other family members. So not thank God that not all family members have become predators and pedophiles. All right.
Thank God. Yes.
So his they've raised 3 sex offenders in our community, one for distribution of child pornography, one who likes little boys, and then my ex who has the charges for being with his half sisters. So we obviously know this is the way this family operates, and they keep it in the family. So it's going to be harder to catch them on internet crimes and all of this because they do it face to face with family
Oh,
members.
sounds like an occult,
Oh, it is.
family
They,
oriented occult.
it is a cult. And so anybody that opposes his cult or stands up to him, he cuts them off. He won't let them around. She told me that he uses stuffed animals and pornography, and he's teaching my son to masturbate. And they have a camera that they only have access to watch him, and he lets everybody in the family know. That's called that's there's so many laws he's breaking. Why isn't he in prison?
Are you kidding me?
That's disgusting.
That's
Like,
child exploitation at the worst level, and it's been going on since he was 3. And not only to that, they did it to my oldest son. But you see, my
How do
oldest son
these
is
people like
older.
to utilize
mhm.
utilize God or some sort of religious factor to hide the actual dark reality of what they're doing?
Yes, it's the truth. And
Gross.
that's how he convinces people. He used to ride for BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse. I reached out to that president chapter. I says, hey, you know you have a child abuser and pedophile and a groomer in your group? I says, why aren't you beating the shit out of them? I says, you guys say that this is what you stand for, but yet you have people within your own organization that are the problem.
I'm interested what he said.
I don't think he's afraid to ride his motorcycle now. He doesn't ride his motorcycle anymore. He joined a church out here in Arizona because he works on Harleys, and he wanted to ride with the chapter out here, the members, right? And they were like, no, you can't ride with us. You can't fly our patch. Never, ever, ever will you ride with us. So he started to do his own group, right? And he got into the Christian motorcycle clubs, the Bikers Against Child Abuse, wherever that he could get accepted by. I'm a minister. I'm doing good. And like he said, this woman sold her children for drugs. My son was investigated by DCS, where they bring out that pamphlet and they go, have you ever seen these drugs? Have you ever seen this paraphernalia? Were you ever exposed to this? My son says, I've never seen that till you showed me. My son knew all that stuff was wrong. That's why he tried to kill himself to get out of there because I didn't raise him that way.
Mhm.
That's my babies. So I might not have been a perfect mother and I needed help. I needed coping skills. I needed to learn things. I needed treatment. I needed recovery. And I admit all that. I needed intervention, is what I needed. And I got all that. My mom in 2013, when my son was born, she got sick with valley fever and she died on the table during the operation, and we brought her back. I had a lot going on in my life at the time, and I had no support. I had no family. My mother's family is awful. They had money. They When my oldest son was bit by a dog at 20 months old, by my great uncle's dog. It was my Theo's dog, and my Theo set was worth $2 million, and he had the policy, right? So the policy was worth $1 million. I sued the policy, and I sued my uncle, and he signed. Mija, I want you and your son to have every opportunity, and I'm so sorry. I said, okay, Theo, and I took care of him while he was a cancer patient. My mom's sisters and brother, they came swarming like locusts when he got brain cancer, and I had to amputate his leg. I was working. I had a position managing a resort out there. I paid rent in the apartment complex my uncle owned, and I was his caregiver. I had all of that, and I managed his property, and I was his conservator.
I
They,
think you need a cape, honey. You
they came in.
sure. You're gonna say super Nina. I'm sure,
They
man.
were like, "Can I borrow $200,000? Will you sign this and forgive the loan that you gave me to buy my home over there in the North Shore in Carnelian Bay?" I says, "You are not asking him for money." I said, "I just had to cut his leg off." I says, "Like, what is wrong with you?" And we had to have a meeting at the doctor's office to tell them that they were not allowed to take advantage of an elder who was dying. They burned his codicil because he left my son and I everything, and they burned it and threw it in the trash. And then they fought me and they tried to get my mom off the inheritance. I had to study law. I had to hire lawyers to be able to secure a $50,000 small little trust for my son, which is what, like, I get $350 a month for him. That ain't nothing. This is 2025. Okay. My
That's
mom,
pocket change, literally.
they fraudulently reported her to the IRS, and they took her
That was
hundreds
stressful.
of thousands of dollars that I had to do a fresh start program. I had to get it all figured out so that it would be a wipe. So they totally went after my mom. So my grandmother and I were very close. She passed away. I had been in contact trying to reconnect with my grandmother. They would not allow it. They would not let my mom and I have a relationship with my grandmother because they were still mad that I held up the probate on my Theos estate and they had to wait years before they got any money. Okay. So they thought they were going to outsmart me. And I got a letter that my grandmother passed, and I got the will. I had to fight for the will. I didn't even get it till like I had 7 days to put it in probate. They had taken my mom illegally doing fraud off of the inheritance. That my grandmother was worth at least probably $5 million in cash, property, assets, gold, cars, and they distributed it. Well, one of her accounts was with Charles Schwab, and she's had it for years. You know, she had money. She came as an immigrant to our country. She worked really hard and she did really well. And all she wanted was and she wrote her will in 1996 to be distributed among her four children evenly. And then all of a sudden it changed to benefit one person mostly. So my other aunt and uncle decided they were going to contest it. And I saw my chance and I looked and looked for attorneys. And I found a law firm that took on our case. And they filed in probate and it was accepted. And they're suing my mother's siblings for 2.5 times the amount of the estate. Because this is now the second time they've tried to do this to my mom. And not to mention the emotion that we didn't ever get to connect with my grandmother. My son was her first great grandchild. She flew out here in so we moved out back here in 2009, and after the case was closed on the pit bull attack, as soon as that was closed, she flew out here with a girlfriend looking for me. She thought I lived in Scottsdale where I had always lived before, but I had moved to Gilbert instead. She could not find me. Her and I connected, and she ended up having a heart attack after, like, shortly after, because she was getting old. Um, so they always said they said she had memory problems, and that's why it wouldn't be healthy for me to talk to her because of dementia. Well, if she had dementia, and this is like in 2020 or 2019, they're telling me that she has dementia, then how did she sign something in 2022 that gave you all her money if she had memory problems? That's
Mhm.
fraud. All that paperwork is fraud. So
But I wouldn't count in court due to the fact that at that point when once they have the ACTA, it's considered they're not
financial,
coherent.
yeah,
They're not coherent with what they're doing at that. So
yeah, and it's a crime. It's financial elder abuse, and it's elder abuse.
right,
So not only, I think she should have to face that. I've been taking care of my mom since 2013. She's had multiple surgeries. She's come home on hospice. I've had the government telling me, because this family that had my children and my youngest son, they accused, they wanted to deflect. So the accuser is the guilty party all the time. That's like Psych 101. That's easy. So when you have somebody that's trying to hide their family history, they accused my mom. My poor mom was half dead. She didn't do these things. I didn't do these things. You guys do these things, you know? So I still took care of my mom. Um, I do Reiki, which is, energy healing. As she came home, bedridden, in diapers. And you know what? Now I had to transition her because I got sick. Obviously, I gave her so much of me. I got sick. I even developed a mass in my lungs in the same area where she had to have her lung removed, because I love her so much that I took that on me. And then I healed myself because I believe in God so much, and I believe in the power of healing. And so it's scar tissue. I didn't have cancer. I was so excited. And now my mom gets up and she walks to the dollar store. She comes and spends a week with us. She'll even camp on my couch. She does her crocheting, and she
Mom.
That sounds like my mom.
Oh yeah.
My mom does Reiki healing as well. She's a psychic medium. She talks to archangels,
that's
uh,
what's up.
making
Yeah.
the crystals and energy and smudging the house when she thinks that it's negative.
I am guilty.
Color paint with white sage and whatever sage is, and but it's a similar situation with me too, because my grandmother, when she passed away, my mom, her name's Beth Eden, and she's well known in the psychic world of people who know. Um, she's really really insightful. But anyways, our grandmother, when she ended up passing away, my mom was taking care of my grandmother, and then my aunt came in, swooped in, took over all the money, took over grandma's house, everything. And this
Damn.
was like right when my grandmother was passing away, and we changed the will and everything, and like she got everything, and my mom got a picture, and it,
Yeah.
but she was okay because she says, as long as I have this picture, I don't care. But in all due respect, my mom could have had, half of what was there, but instead my aunt and her brother and her other family member all like worked together to keep my mom out of her portion of the will.
Yeah. To me, that's greed and that's evil. Um, there's enough to go around, and that's why our elders build that generational wealth, is for all of their children. And when you have one
After their
child,
ass too.
yes, and when you have one child who stays at home to take care of that elder, they should actually get a little bit more, because they are sacrificing parts of their life to care for that elder. Um, you
Agree with
know,
that in the same sense. Like I'm sure you mean it the same way too. Like, you know,
Cheers, my sister.
it's meant for everybody to split. It's not just meant for one person to benefit entirely from it. And I'm glad that you got a lawyer to be able to help you with that case. And I'm glad that you're suing for three times the amount. I would do four or five because I'm a motherfucker like that, and I'm settled for less.
Stank.
and
Um,
my mom
but
is abused too in like two
yeah,
centers, and she
yeah,
was kidnapped. I got a lawyer for that too. The DA's office called me because I had a feeling. So I'm like your mom. I go with my intuition. I was telling Dennis, I get visions. God sends me messages. And I knew something was going on by the way my mom's behavior. And I was like, I will send every department and homeland into this nursing facility, because something is not right, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Sure enough, they were abusing so many people and sexually assaulting elders, stealing their medication, taking their money. Then my mother was kidnapped, and she was taken away on the other side of town. She's off her meds. Her insulin's not regulated. She's going crazy. So she's attacking me because Why? She knows she's safe with me and I'm going to figure it out. When her behaviors go off the spectrum, I know something's wrong. So I sent in an insurance agent to get my mom out. We got her stabilized in a new place, and now things are going great. And the DA called me, and I says, I do have a lawyer for my mom that's representing my mom, myself, and I, because I was targeted. I was threatened by these people because it was another $1 billion company and they were doing fraud. And so the DA office sent in all new people. They completely gutted that whole organization was closed down. So if we can do that for a nursing home facility, right? Why can't we do that same thing for these agencies that have children,
Absolutely,
especially
yeah,
children? What are
like
we as a
they should have like, you know how police officers wear the body cams and so on.
yes,
Like DCF should have body cams. I've
yes,
seen a lot, and I know for a fact. All right, so first thing first, it will be an injustice if I don't set a couple things straight. Earlier on, a couple years ago, let's say, I did have an experience with over here. We call it DCF. For the record, my personal experiences with DCF been nothing but great on my end. um they're actually being very helpful. They are who they are. I can understand the other side of the spectrum as well.
Again, it
But
depends
on
on the
my but
individual that
on
comes
my
into it.
end, um they actually been actually pretty damn good. However, that doesn't mean that everybody else is wrong. I do think, because I know the freaking lie, and we're not even gonna try to negotiate that. I do think, just like police officers need to wear a body cam that gets monitored independently with some of the police departments, DCF officers deal with our children to
yeah,
start with. So that's the start of the problem. DCS, CPS, I don't care what you want to call it whatever you must. Those people need to have a body cam that you can actually present as evidence, whether it's good or whether it's bad. I can
right.
go to, let's say, the Hartford Police Department and ask them, hey, listen, present whatever it is. Hey, I want the footage of this particular case, this particular day and time, and they'll give it to you because
Right.
it's a public record. Therefore, the same with DCF, the same with CPS, put body cams and hold them accountable. If
It
the
makes
lie,
it simpler.
that should
Yeah,
be presented as evidence. If a lawyer in either side, the defense and the plaintiff and the defendant, if they ask for that footage, it should be made available because that's gonna be the start of fixing of a lot of problems. Some people, unfortunately, it will be best for the children to be taken out. Like if the parents are pedophiles and they're raping people, being abusive, doing drugs, this and that, then it'd be better for the child to leave that situation. But oftentimes it's the complete opposite. So like more instead of just she said or giving ultimate power, even myself, if I were the world leader and so on, you don't want me with that much power. There gotta be check balances, accountability as well. So therefore, that doesn't make any sense. You have to hold everybody accountable. Body cams and the whole nine yards. That's a start. But then, if it's on video, unedited, then you can't lie. There's the footage. So I highly agree with you. It has
let
to be done.
Leslie's law covers that. And then it goes one step further where we equip each child with a medical bracelet with a tracker so that there's not no, well, what happened to these, 20,000 kids that are missing in the Department of Child Safety? It's
Mm.
not going to be like that anymore because why? They will be equipped with something constantly, like, something they can't take off. These are our most vulnerable citizens in our country, and we are failing them. And I'm not saying we don't need intervention. I'm not saying that there's not a need for some children to be removed. But I do believe Puerto Rico has a program for parents who are struggling with addiction. They take the whole family and they put them in a center and they get rehabilitation services. They do the harm reduction. They do and their program has been proven to do so much better than what we do here: separate, isolate, and disassociate. They have a great,
The island too, Puerto Rico.
yes, they have a great record of that those children grow up, and a lot of them do not become addicts. Why? Because of the transparency, that they are educated, they see it, they realize, okay, this is not how we want to be. That's a big subject that I tell my son. When we have taboo subjects and we don't speak about them, then we're not giving our children the chance to break those generational curses, those generational cycles. They have to be talked about. So addiction, if it runs in the family, or alcoholism runs in the family, it should be a conversation you can easily have with your children, age appropriate. Okay. But it should be something that is addressed, so that way they don't fall into the same traps. Sometimes the best education is your parents' mistakes. Well, that, hey, kid, this is what I did. You definitely don't want to do this, and this is why.
We all make them.
You
Parents,
know,
we all make them. It's part of
we
life.
all make mistakes. And, raising children with special needs is also difficult. And those parents need better help. And if you have a family, especially single parents, if you have a family that has got one head of household who's taking care of disabled children, a disabled parent, limited income, you don't go target them. You help them. You help them figure out solutions. And sometimes people need that extra support, that extra care, holding their hand through the program. And if it saves that family, that's preservation. You know,
Nailed it.
that's preservation. Um, to me, the solutions are easy. Instead of having bonuses and incentives for fostering and adopting, put those bonuses and incentives to keeping the family together. Do you know how much harder they would work at
With the
keeping that
family,
family
yes.
together and getting that family what they need to succeed? Court ordered treatment for the parent. If you know the parent is struggling with alcohol or addiction, then court order them. Don't send them to some third party classes only. That's not going to do it. You are dealing with a physical addiction. So you court order them to detox, and then they come and do intensive outpatient program. Then you do and through the process, you're doing reunification. How hard is that? It would save a lot of our taxpayers' money and would keep our families together. And when parents choose not to do it, right? So say that the court goes, okay, we came in because of this, and this is how you're going to fix it. And you might have to go into a program for 30, 60, 90 days, whatever's warranted. Are you willing to do that? If they say no, then you obviously have a problem, and it's time to find those children a different setting. And like indigenous people do, you reach out to other family members and you investigate to make sure it's a safe placement.
Absolutely. How about, well, I was gonna say Tank, but I think Tank right now is on La La Land over there. So
I'm
like,
listening. I'm
um,
just
but all right. So Tank, what's your intake on it? What do you think, brother?
I think body cams on DCF personnel or CPS personnel is beneficial. The other thing that I think should always be like in these facilities that I know for sure need to hold classes on awareness, like because it's a lot of what do you call it? Us versus them, right? The kids versus the staff. The staff tend to hold each other's back. It's more like a brotherhood, like the staff members in the facility, group homes. They back each other up, and unfortunately, that's just what happens in certain workplaces. You know, like, do something that's not supposed to do, and I think honorable for the one like there should be charges. They should be threatened with jail time. anybody else. I believe that if they falsify a report and a child is taken away from their parents, then whoever falsified the report and their supervisor should be arrested, should be held on charges, and should be going to jail. And I think the judge should in the prosecutor's office should prosecute at the fullest extent of the law. And body cam footage would be beneficial to an extent if they're willing to if they're willing and allowing to release the video footage. It's the same concept with the police. When the police department do something they're not supposed to do, right? They alter the video. I think anytime a video is altered, it should be submitted as evidence that it was faulty and altered video, and they should be persecuted at the fullest extent of the law, unless they can prove that the device had a malfunction.
Right.
Malfunction, a battery dies, whatever the case may be, that's acceptable. I can understand that. That means that you need to start from scratch and go back and
Sure.
start from scratch. Because if you could just say, hey, the battery died and we're still taking the kid and we're going to write a report any way we want. No, you need to have the fucking video footage to back it up. And if you lie, now there's a big problem here. The big problem is your ass is going to jail. No longer the family who you're falsifying and taking their children away and is going to jail. You should be going to jail just on on false reporting in itself. I mean, if I was to call the cops and I make a false police report, right, that's a crime in itself.
Yes.
But now we're talking about falsifying a police report. Now we're talking about kidnapping a child away from their mother. Now we're talking about holding this child for ransom
Ransom.
and until a foster family comes in, and now it's we're gonna bribe you to take this child. So here's $1,500 a month to house this child for us because we don't have enough bedding in our facilities to hold these children.
Boom.
So we don't have the bedding now, right? So what are we gonna do? Oh, taxpayers, come on in, give us more money to make more of these facilities
Sounds
and more
familiar.
of this bedding and everything else. And to me, it's a fucking it's a cattling farm. It's the same as raising chickens, the same as raising ducks, the same as herding cows. It's the same as human trafficking and hurting people.
Yes.
You're a shepherd and you're herding your flock. And if that means that you could steal somebody else's flock because there's no barcode number on it, then it makes it so much easier to do. I think I think I think that body cam footage is necessary, and I think the judges need to fucking crack down on CPS and DCF. I think the DA's office needs to stop being so lenient with these agencies, and most importantly, I think the federal government should definitely oversee the action of these agencies, and it shouldn't be held to the state because DCF is in multiple different states. CPS is in multiple different states, right? So if it's up to the state to regulate these agencies that hold the state's flag on there, which is crazy because CPS is worldwide, just like the Department of Justice is worldwide, right? The DOJ is the one that has all the prisons and uh parole officers and everything else, right? But what people don't realize is that they're all okay, state of Connecticut correctional officer. Well, it's the same job in Massachusetts, it's just a different law, but the state oversees it. Well, it should be federal. Federal should be overseeing anything that has to do with the prison, anything that has to do with taking a child away from its home, because again, we're falling under the human rights. We're
Yes.
we're falling into that category. And once we start talking about human rights and when we start violating people's actual human rights, it's the federal government who's supposed to step into the state agencies.
Even better that the task force. Therefore, we cannot be, but it's not going to be a federal government.
Right.
It's really independent.
And
Yes.
that's why the DS task force was started, because we realize that the federal government's not going to step in. We realize that the state is not going to step in, and we need to start something different. And
Yes.
this is the reason why I'm entrusted with my ranking as well, because I cannot be bought. I am a firm believer in how I believe, and I am probably going to be the last person you see, you know, whether it's my eyes, because 9 times out of 10, when I'm going in there, I'm wearing a mask, and I'm fucking you up, and I'm putting cuffs on you, and I'm bringing you down to the station, and you will be booked, you will be processed if you don't make it to a body bag, because it depends on which state
I
I'm
was
in.
just about to say that too. Like, wait, hold on. Realistically,
Because it depends on what state we're in, it depends on what the situation is and where we are. Like, say for instance, we're overseas and we're backing up the United States military, right? We're overseas, and obviously people are going in body bags. But if we're going to Massachusetts and we're doing a sting in Massachusetts, right, I cannot put them in a body bag because
unfortunately,
their state code doesn't allow me to.
within
Right.
reason.
But
Right.
if I
If they have
go,
a weapon, though, and some of these, so
that's my point. It depends on the situation. If I'm doing my job and they have a weapon, well, let's see how fast your draw is, cowboy, because I promise you,
we
you're
have
fucking done, son. Like,
a, a 17-year-old kid just got picked up on charges of murder. Now, let me tell you what happened.
What
A
happened?
sex offender got in touch with this minor because he's 17, he's still a minor,
Right.
and he asked to buy a gun and drugs. When this 17-year-old went to meet the sex offender, for some reason he felt that his life was in some type of danger. And I'm wondering, it's man and man, right? So sometimes, a young boy may not want to admit that during a drug deal, this man maybe said, suck my dick, or let me suck your dick, and maybe was rubbing up on his leg, something like that, that would have caused this young boy to shoot him. So for some reason, he felt that he was in danger, and he is being prosecuted and persecuted to the full extent of the law. And I find it very sad that we have these people that are going to prison. I also read another story about this man whose daughter came home, and she told him he was doing laundry and he saw blood on her panties, and she said her uncle penetrated her, his own brother. He went to that man's house. He was in a moment of what you would call like insanity, right? Finding out something happened to his kid, his own family member did. He blacked out. He went into a fucking.
Somebody's gonna die.
Oh yeah, he dismembered him. He beat the shit out of him, tortured him, and then he dismembered him. This poor man is sitting in prison. He didn't get a rule of insanity. They said it was premeditated. How could it have been premeditated? He found out what happened to his daughter. He got emotionally put into a rage. As a father, he went into protective mode. He went to the brother's house
He's got
and he exploded. That's called temporary insanity.
yeah, but they're gonna try and say it was premeditated because the brother wasn't there at the time that he was told. They're
Right,
gonna say
because
that it was
he had to go
premeditated
travel
because he
somewhere.
had to go travel to the house. And let me tell you something, man. Somebody does that to any one of my kids. Anybody does it to any one of my brother's kids right there, dude. Oh my god, dude. Oh, dude.
I will
Yeah,
literally be
yeah.
chopping them up and putting them in the grill.
Uh,
I will
Yeah.
bring burger steaks out of that motherfucker for sure.
I like fucking it like fucking disgusts me or rots me to my fucking.
That that's what I'm afraid of if I go to Minnesota, right? And I see my son, I'm going to
It,
lose my shit, and I am going to go up to them. And I do know that he, like when he lived here in Arizona, he bought a little 22. I put on a vest, mofo. 22 is not going to do much. But if he got something bigger, okay, and he saw me he would probably want to shoot me because I know I would not be able to hold back.
You said he's a registered sex offender with a 22.
No, he's not a sex offender. So what happened? He groomed his children, and they are all sex offenders. The first generation he raised, two of his sons are sex offenders. The two sons he raised, and the daughters were the victims. I've had one of his daughters tell me how he watched, how he would tell the boys to go have sex with the sisters, and he would watch and then fornicate, masturbate, right? So they don't talk to me anymore because they still are under that grooming. They still talk to their dad. It's disgusting. So he's never been charged, even though people have come forward and it's a proven pattern of history of the incest and things like that. He's escaped justice all these years. I even think he was investigated at one time for trafficking his own children because I told you it's gone on now. It was in Minnesota, Missouri, and then Arizona. Right? That's 3 states this man.
Now in Arizona right now, or is he back in Minnesota?
He's back in Minnesota. As soon as they awarded him my son, he went back there and he moved back to his mother's house. And when I looked up that and I started doing the research and I seen how many sex offenders in that family that have been registered to that house, I like got sick. I physically got sick.
Is there any way you could send us that information?
Yeah,
Yes.
we would.
I have a whole
Really
I wanna know the exact address. I want to know the exact town.
Thank you on that case.
I've
And
got it all. I've
and
been collecting this
I
information for
also want to
years.
know. I also want to know the list of sex offenders that's been associated with that address.
You got it.
While
I've
they
been
own,
doing this for years.
is that now?
You see, you guys see that, right? For everybody that can own.
It froze.
So the other question I want to ask too is the house, is it registered to the to the parents? It's
Okay.
their house.
So the first house they lived in when they went back to Minnesota was his mother's, and she died. And then I had got CPS involved, so they ran and they moved to another
That's
place.
the house we're talking about.
Right now they're in a new house, but I have that address too. And when I
The
looked up,
new house that they're in, do they own the house?
they own that house and they
Perfect.
bought
That's
it. And
the reason why. The reason why I'm asking that question is because with all the registers that the sex offenders that have been registered to that house, the main thing they can say is, "Oh, we're renting from a landlord," and that's why. You see what I'm saying? But
right,
it's a lot harder when you own the house and all these people that are sex offenders are registered to that
yes.
house. Now what you have is you have evidence to say, hey, not only are these children being groomed, but they are allowing ample amount of sex offenders to live here, and children are here on a constant basis. It's
So
almost
this is
like they're
yeah.
providing them their fix.
Yeah, so this is what when they moved out of Grandma Betty's house after she died, because CPS went in there and the house was in shambles, black mold on the roof. There's a picture of him holding my son in the bed underneath all this black mold. It was so disgusting. I sent CPS in there. They got shaken up, so they moved to another home. And then that home, what they lived near the grandmother's brother, whose son raped and murdered the 2-year-old. They were all around my son. So as soon as that crime had happened, they decided they were going to get out and go to a new place. So this new house that they bought happened to be in the family of the grandmother, and her son Albrecht was his last name. He went to prison and he's released now. You know, he's around. That is his family's home that they owned prior to them purchasing it. Okay, now the neighborhood that they live in, every single neighbor is a sex offender. They have surrounded themselves with sex offenders. It is an all sex offender neighborhood. How can you even let a child?
Money profit for them. They could sell the children to all the sex offenders in the area and they can make fucking bank. That's probably what they're doing.
Yes, I know. Or what they're letting them watch my son, you know, doing God knows what to my son. And CPS and DCS, it's CPS out in Minnesota, and it's at the city level, right? So you have to do it with every city. They have done nothing. This time they notified the police because I have made such a stink that I've gotten Governor Walz's attention on this matter.
Can, can you send that information like ASAP so that way I can just get it?
Yeah, I can send it to Dennis's phone.
I want to start doing some investigation on that house like right
If
like
there's
right
anything
now.
that you can disclose, then by all means. If there's stuff that you must
Well,
rather
it's private.
keep
It's private.
classified,
It's
then
also
keep it
public
that way.
information for the address. So if you just want to expose the address, you can. It's public information. Just to let you know
Uh,
also that if you do expose that address, your son is living there, so you might be able to put him in a little bit of a harm's way. So I wouldn't do that. I would text Dennis the address.
Yeah, I'm
That
gonna
way,
text Dennis the information. That's why I haven't said any names or anything, because I want to make sure that we do it the right way so that my son is safe and we get him out of there. And I'm just tired of waiting on the government to do their job, because when you think about it, the government placed him there and they've been letting this continue. They've been letting this
yeah.
cultivation happen. They haven't stopped this family. And Minnesota has known that this family has had this problem for years. Obviously, the father has had
I've,
open CPS cases in the past with his kids. I don't know
I've
how he got them
I've
back
heard
over and over
some
again.
stories about Arizona and also and my head. You just
Texas,
said it.
Laredo, man, we can just follow the freaking
Yeah,
border on the south. We can just simply follow
I'm
the border,
telling you.
but you can also go to the top where the pipeline is, and we can follow the way the border to Canada too. So people forget about the stuff that happened in the pipeline. People cannot forget about the movie Taken, especially the first one. I will find you,
Yeah, it's bad. So when you know that a family moves into a sex
and I will
offender
kill you. But the fact of the matter,
Hold on, Dennis.
neighborhood,
I'll let you know
like,
that I will find you and I will get you. I have a certain set of skills that I've acquired throughout the years, and you are
um,
not safe. You might think you are for the moment, but when I find you, and I will find you, you are done. Done, son.
you waited your whole life to use that, huh? I love you, brother.
Well, when
You
you're as
actually do mean it too.
when you're as good at something like I am, man, I can tell you right now, dude, it doesn't matter if you lock the door. I'm going through it. Just like I said last podcast, I've proven it time and time again. I've
Planet
you know
Fitness days.
gone against some of the most toughest people that thought they were the toughest and made them scream scream like a little girl. So I'm excited. This is gonna be a good one. This is just like this is what I fucking live for. I'm saving kids and beating the crap out of fucking pedophiles. It's
Who's
like
popping Tank
come
now?
on, man.
Who's gonna pop Tank now?
uh,
Like
well,
honestly, you pick this
I
guy
love
up.
what
Like
you
forget about
Yeah,
it, dude.
dude, man.
Somebody's
Like
give us some fuel.
I've been
The
going to the
fuel is
freaking
going.
I've been
Nina,
like
what are you doing, Nina?
I've been going to the fucking gym, contemplating like all the fucking pedophiles that I had to fucking talk to and shit for this fucking for like the business and stuff like that. And I'm just sitting there doing, bench pressing the entire machine with the weights and
That
I'm
did
like,
happen for
he
real.
was there.
That did
Wish
happen.
we had the camera for that one, but I'm like fucking doing over like 2,000 pounds in a
Oh
fucking
my
leg
kids,
press.
that did happen.
And I'm sitting there pumping iron like a freaking animal. I'm doing 4 hour gym sessions and shit like that, and drinking protein shakes and taking pre-workouts and vitamins and shit that is just I don't want to do, but I do it because I have to, because when I'm ready to go and I'm ready to go right now. Like I kind of just want to hop on a plane right fucking now and head down there and start some shit and kick in the fucking door and then fucking make myself a sandwich and let them call the cops. Uh
We
you
can do
know,
it as close as New York too, by the way. The five boroughs, Brooklyn, Bronx.
there's a
Where
way that
you
I
at?
have to do it, and I have to be professional and as much as I want to like resort to not being professional and just fucking
Right. That's got to be
off
so
of
hard.
AK.
Okay.
But again, my sole purpose right now is to figure out what's going on, get you to help Nina. After we get you to help with the lawyers, get your son home, and then Tank is knocking on their fucking door
Oh, we're knocking.
with the local law enforcement.
Not knocking on heaven's
Yeah,
door.
we're infiltrating quickly, and then and it'll be me and my squad, and my squad
By the
does not
way,
play
Nina,
around.
And
The
that's
DS
good
task
nice
because
force does
house.
not play around.
That's a really nice house. Oh yeah, Nina. That's a really nice house you
Let
just
me
showed
see.
me.
Let
Really
me
nice
see.
house.
Can I see?
and if you look
Yes,
up that address on a sex offender map, you'll see all the offenders in the
oh,
vicinity.
That's
And
the
it's a
reason why I was
small
asking for
town.
that information, because I wanted to see the information.
But
Give me
they did that on purpose. They surround themselves with like-minded individuals, you know. I like to surround, like I sent Dennis Diaz, my mentor that I met who combats human trafficking across the globe, Master Michael Johnson. He trains the military. He's awesome. He has mentored me for free over these last few years. He is my confidant, man. Like, I don't know where I would have been without having him to support and guide me. He owns his own university, Shockwave Defense. He does all of those great things. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to give you a shout out when I'm on the radio tomorrow because I believe in his mission just like he's believed in mine. Um,
mm-hmm.
and we're very, prayer orientated. That without God,
God.
without God and having that faith,
Mm-hmm.
it's so hard to move forward. You have to be able to put your confidence and your trust in your higher power because you'll
I
never
might
go wrong that
be
way.
off of the internet
That's how I
currently.
connected with you, Dennis. I'd be praying. I'm praying all the time. I'm in like constant prayer mode all the time. That's
Let
how I get through most of my days. Like I pray and then I ask God for the guidance and to show me the way and then to no fear, take those risks. And when Tank and you do come, there is a few people that I know here in Gilbert that the police have refused to monitor or investigate or possibly do a sting on that they should because meth is involved, children are around, and other vulnerable women and men
I have to
are
tell you
being
this. I
trafficked.
do have. I'm probably not going to be on the video anymore, because the Wi-Fi is completely unstable at this moment. The phone that
Okay.
was Wi-Fi did just die. And the Wi-Fi in the house does not reach this far, unfortunately, for my computer.
This computer sucks.
Yeah, we need to get you
And
a we need to get you a data box. You know,
I,
you
I
know,
need to get Wi-Fi extenders in the house. What I need, Wi-Fi, will be
Yeah,
fine.
I gotta get an
But right,
extender.
right now, it's like staticky, off and on, off and on. So I just want to say, let you and Dennis finish up the rest of this podcast episode. I'm gonna uh, call it quits a little bit early. It was a pleasure meeting you.
yes,
Um,
nice to meet you too, Tank. I'm glad that we are collaborating and working together.
oh
I
yeah,
feel good
and
about this.
I saw the house. Dennis passed me the phone and showed me the house. We're actually in the same room right now. Exclusive. He's got the light switch. I got the doorways.
And I got my sun, moon, and stars, you know.
Look. You could tell that's him because of the finger.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Love you,
so
brother.
love you too, man. So where I just want to let you know that anytime you need any kind of help or anything, give Dennis a call. He'll get in contact with me. That's how the chain of command works. He is the head guy. I'm just second in charge of the rest of the task force, but I'm also out there on missions. I'm the one who goes to these places.
In
I'm
the
the one.
field.
I am the
That's
field.
great because
I
I
am
have a lot of people who ask me they will put something on social media that they are in a situation and they don't know how to get out and they've called the US Marshal. They've tried to get in touch with other authorities and nobody's gone in to help rescue them or break them away from their traffickers.
Well, that's why I said this is what we do. We set up sting operations.
You're
we
about to
we
give him a boner.
we talk
No crazy stuff in
full
there.
chub,
Like, hold on.
full
we
fucking chub.
There's
we
no
can't
lady right
Anyways,
here. No Diddy.
also
Diddy's
so
out of here.
so so
yeah,
what we
and
do is we contact the local DA's office, we contact the law enforcement when we're out in the area, and we go alongside with them, and we shadow them, and they shadow. Well, technically, they shadow us because when we're there, we're the ones kicking in the fucking door.
right.
Uh, when
Yep.
like we're the ones who pretty much tell the police, "Hey, this is what we're doing. You don't like it? Tough fucking shit. We're gonna have you there to put the cuffs on them and send them to your jail."
And if they
Right.
don't do it,
Because
we
this
still
is your
proceed with it.
And if
expertise.
they don't,
When it comes to
do it, then
rescue,
yep,
like we rescue
if
with
they
them or without them.
with or without them. So like we don't have to answer to them. They have to answer to us, and that's how it works.
So work with
Based
us or
off of
work with us.
based off of who we work with and who we know and who is actually backing us. Let's just say the state doesn't have, or the city or the state doesn't have fucking jurisdiction to tell us what to do. We tell them what
That's
to do.
awesome. We need more men and women like us, to be honest.
Yes, absolutely. And I want people to also understand if you got a little charity or you wanted to start something like this is not a race. We not here to say that, hey, listen, the Diaz task force, my charity is better than your charity. Screw your charity or nothing like that. This is something that in order to attack this devil, we all have to unite. So
Yes.
I don't care what your charity is, as long as it comes from protecting and serving men, women, and children with human trafficking, providing them services, whatever it is that is positive to help these beautiful people and the children that are being affected by CPS, DCF, I don't care what you call it, you get the point. Like,
Yes.
we're not here to say that we are better than you because we're not. It's a team effort. We can
Correct.
collaborate. As a matter of fact, you guys can actually call us directly 203-519-6008. That's 203-519-6008.
And I'll give you my phone number. My phone number is 207-506-3363.
And you guys can,
That's 207-506-3363. That's 207-506-3363.
I'm gonna
That's 207.
I'm
No,
gonna
it's
hit you
not.
with this damn beer.
506 3363.
Yep.
Okay.
207-506-3363.
See, and this is happening in real time. One more time, Tank. Through you.
207-506-3363. Give me a call.
Absolutely. And you guys can call out Corporal Tank. That's exactly who he is, Corporal Tank. And yes, go
The
so
one and only Corporal Tank. Sorry to cut
don't
you
get
off
it
again.
And
207-506-3363.
and if anybody
Help
needs
me,
to get
brother.
a hold of me, they for any type of services, resources, or educational type of links to better become awareness, they can get a hold of me at 480-925-3084. And they can always find me on social media
That
at
number again.
480-925-3084, as well as
Again?
480-925-3084. One
I'm
more
sorry I
time.
didn't get that one more time.
480-925-3084.
Perfect. Wait,
And
one more time?
Chiara Watts on Facebook and 480-925-3084. We all
Perfect.
need to work together to be able to serve our vulnerable population because this is a huge issue and we cannot be afraid to combat it. And teamwork makes the dream work. It really
Yes,
That's
does.
right. Fuck
absolutely.
fear. We are here.
Mhm.
That's gonna be my new motto. I'm gonna be making shirts that actually say that. It's gonna say fuck fear. We are here.
And then
That's
you
good.
have
I
a
like
tank
that.
with Corporal Tank on it. Probably a pink tank
You're
or
right.
a with a rainbow.
I like the one that says,
Spanish
don't be a
boy.
pussy. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a pussy. You got to stand up for what you believe in.
Yeah.
You can't be
Absolutely.
afraid, you know? That's what they bank on is our fear.
Yes,
Yep.
that's exactly
and
what
staying
it is.
silent.
Fear is control.
Mhm.
Fear
Yes.
is control.
So the minute that we start speaking and doing things, trust me, they go and hide. This type of personality, why do you think they go after children and vulnerable adults? Because they can manipulate them.
Absolutely. And everything that we had talking so far about the links, the research, also anything, the
I'm out, guys.
numbers, and
I'll
so
catch y'all
on.
later.
Oh, yours is shutting down, huh?
Yes,
Have a good
sir.
night, Tank.
Oh boy.
You too.
And I'll send you some more information so you have visual aid of what they look like.
Once again, my number is 207-506-3363.
And
Give me all the info.
he's single, by the way, ladies. Somebody take him away from me,
I'm good for
please.
right now.
No deed.
I'm good for
No
right now. I
deed.
already got to deal with this fucking gook over there.
Married to our work, you know.
Oh yes, that for sure. Always.
I'm probably one of the hardest workers you will ever meet, dude. I'm always doing something. It's insane.
Probably at the
Again,
gym.
I think we are a lot of like the three
Take
of
time
us.
for the gym too.
That's good.
But yeah, so everything that you guys heard tonight about the or today, this will air on schedule at 7 a.m. Um, it's gonna be on the show notes, all the links, all the research, the phone numbers. Uh, Offline, I'll ask them about. I'll ask her if she wants to put it there on the show notes as well. But everything's gonna be there. We want to make everything accessible to you guys. For Hispano Rica, guys, do understand that yes, we gotta put laughter in here. We gotta crack jokes and so on, because this is a really serious matter. And again, love you, brother.
Oh, you too. 207-506-3363.
If we have to bring light into the darkness, because you're right, this is a serious subject. It's heavy,
207-506-3363.
and
I'm gonna throw with camera forward. I'm telling you. No, but you're right. Like you gotta take. I'm actually gonna lower the mic down. Boom, boom. But no, the fact of the matter is that this is really serious and so on. So we do like to bring a little bit of laughter to just get us smooth things out. But as I told you guys before, any lawyers, because this is still happening. Like you guys, it's been 2 hours as a matter of fact. Thus far, the record for the longest podcast that we actually have actually done live. Like 2 hours, and we still going like it was only 5 minutes. Like holy crap! But I tell you, the fact of the matter is, her son is still going through the stuff that we talked about before, and now he's hitting puberty and so on. She's trying to get a lawyer. She's looking for help. That I know that freaking a lot of pro bono lawyers, you guys out there about pass the bar exam or getting you training in. You guys are great lawyers. You guys are the ones that got that fire. You know that fire. That this is the difference of having the fire of money and having the fire to do what's right and the whole 9 yards and get your
amen.
name known out there because you are the best of the best. I'm calling you out. I'm pleading for your help. If there's any really great lawyer, especially in the state of Arizona, please contact her directly. I'm gonna give you guys your social. My number is gonna be all over the place as well. Dennis Diaz, 203-519-6008. You're gonna find it there. By all means, contact me. I'll let her know. Because this is really important, guys. Like we joke around and so on, but don't forget, this is happening right now. Right now, boys and girls are getting raped. They are getting killed right now. Before the end of this conversation, as a matter of fact, let's ask ChatGPT how many children, and I'm actually doing this in real time right now as a big, how many children dies in the U.S. every day. So I put how many children dies in the U.S. every day due to rape or trafficking? Now, to be clear, I just put this in. It was an idea from the top of the head. I don't know what the answer is. And as of right now, it's telling me, screw you, pay me. So,
AI's got it right.
oh, yeah, okay. So, ChatGPT, somebody can actually Google this for this one and get back to me. Because as of right now, it says um, error, system error. Yeah, okay.
I do know that we have 2,300 children a day go missing. A day. That's a
So that
lot.
means you got, oh, yeah, it is. But where is your visual? Because I don't, oh, there you are. Oh, there we go. We got the visual. But I'm gonna find the answer. I'm gonna put it in the show notes as well. But the fact of the matter is, my point is, a lot of children, whether we know it or not, because statistics has to be reported in order to be an statistic. So
Four
therefore,
4.8 million people are victims of sex trafficking today. 300,000 American children are victims of commercial sexual exploitation each year. So it doesn't give me any type of percentage on death. It just tells me how many are involved in human trafficking. 28% of identified victims of trafficking globally are children.
mhm.
That's
How
huge.
many sick fucks are there out there? Why most of it gotta be freaking children? Like honestly, the
They're
innocent, the innocent. Those are the ones. Like these people are sick.
because it's a perversion. Look at P. Diddy and most of Hollywood, right? It's
Any
disgusting.
baby oil?
Yeah.
Gotta have that
I
baby oil.
I listen to a lot of music, and I've incorporated music therapy into my life, and it's been wonderful for me to be able to have that. And I'm so thankful to everybody that I've listened to, that I've advertised for on my social media page, because their music has resonated with me throughout all of these years while I'm doing my research, while I'm also healing and working with my family and my oldest son and trying to save my youngest. If I didn't have that, I don't know where I would be, because I spend a lot of time alone thinking, creating, reaching out, trying to find other people that have this same passion to want to bring change into these injustices, and get help for these victims so that we can heal as a society. Um, and for the awareness and the education. It's not an easy topic. It's not an easy subject. And I know in the music industry, just like in TV, a lot of them have gone through this. They've been subjected to things that are just not okay. And they're not alone, you know.
Do
It
you
that Justin Bieber, I feel so sorry for him, and not to, but he is one of the ones that they started very young, and there's a lot of them, unfortunately, that are just being talked about today, and they need our support. They need our sympathy, our empathy, because it's so hard when the whole world knows what you have gone through. It's hard to have a regular life.
absolutely. By the way, guys, really important. Um, I know a bit about show business personally, and I tell you what, especially you women out there, but by now it really doesn't matter, male, female, it really doesn't matter, especially in show business. Listen, the so-called you gotta fuck your way to the top to get where you're going. That's full of shit. You
That's
don't
full of
need to
shit.
fuck yourself to the top. When these producers and these promoters want to say that, they just want a piece of ass because you are an easy prey. Every
Yes,
single time you hear that in the modeling agency, especially ladies,
yes,
it's bullshit. When you guys hear that on Only Fucking Fans, that hey, listen, you need to be on our house, be with our click, and we're gonna give you a certain percentage. you are a prostitute. Nowadays, it's
Right.
not only like, oh, I'll suck you dick for
Right.
$20, or I'll
No,
fuck you for $40
we'll make
on
you
the side of the
famous. We'll
road.
promote your
Everything
CD.
is digital. So
Yeah.
therefore, right now, the OnlyFans, the other ones that I know about, and if you know, you know, the fact
Yes.
of the matter is, all that is still prostitution. All
Yes.
that, when a promoter tells you, hey, listen, you gotta do this, that's a cyber pimp, to be clear. That's
That's
it.
correct.
That is a pimp. So
Yes.
therefore, don't do any of this crap. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, especially you ladies, because for some reason you guys are so vulnerable. It's insane, especially at things.
Yeah.
You are a great, beautiful woman. It doesn't matter your size. It doesn't matter what you personally think. Everybody is different. Everybody has their goods. Everybody has their downs. For you men out there, and you young men out there, you teens and so on, it's the same. Maybe some people call you fat. Maybe people are trying to bully you and so on. But listen to me. That little short part of life, if anything, embrace it. Use it to get better.
Yes.
Aspire something more than just do these OnlyFans because there's some quick money and shabang. I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of people that do these OnlyFans and they show you this glamorous life and this and that is full of shit because it brings attention. Attention brings money. That's how the business model works. So if right now, if I show you a Ferrari, I guarantee you within the next 15 minutes, I'll get over 2 million views. I will get over $50,000 just because I'm selling you the illusion
Right. The
that
illusion.
I actually have a Ferrari. So you need to listen to me. Listen to
Right.
a Ferrari and have it sitting on the spot is $250 an hour. And you
Yeah.
can do that
That's what they do.
tutorial and so on. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, you don't need to do all that. Have more confidence in yourself. Study a little bit more. Find out some people, some of you guys are great artists out there.
Yes.
Some
There
of
are.
you guys want to inspire to even create your own business. I
And
will help you. I will mentor you. But doing this all only fans and doing this crazy stuff, thinking that you're gonna get quick money, that's the new level of being a freaking pimp. Don't go. You guys are way too beautiful. I love you all. There's no reason to go that way. Like we talk about human and sex trafficking, yes, absolutely. But especially nowadays, there's so much, and with social media and even Instagram and
yeah,
Telegram and this and that, is most
WhatsApp
of
and
it is fucking fake. So
Snapchat.
and I love you. I want you to improve. If you got anything, send them my way. Comment anytime. My phone number is gonna be there. Contact me, please. I practice what I preach. So I want to help you because you are so beautiful. It's insane. And the potential that you have inside is unmatched. So let's work together. Let's create your you. Not by me telling you who you are, that will never work, but you're gonna find it within you. I'm sorry, sweetheart. It's just that it bothers me so much when all these young girls and they start at 14, the minimum, they get groomed for 18 so they can
Yes,
release at 18, but the videos have been made already
they're
at
illegal.
14. And the
Yes,
crazy part is that they come out and they release the videos at 18, but the videos that you seen at 18, they were actually made at 14. You
14. That's
seeing
correct.
less trafficking pedophiles do this shit. Another one that, oh, I take you outside. How about that? There you go. How many pedophiles and how many predators came out like because she got a little bit of boobs? Everybody
Right.
want to come out
Because
there and be like, oh, I
tiny
can't
and
wait,
she
I can't
looks
wait.
like
The
a guy.
day off, the day off. Oh, I can't wait. That bitch made so much money on her birthday at midnight. It was insane on her release. That will tell you out there, I love you, but this is the harsh truth. Like you can do
I
better.
have
I want you to.
mentored. Um,
Please, with her, by all means, it's just when it comes
I
to this.
have I have mentored women who went into the sex industry, who have their entertainment license, who have done pornography for pay. And I will tell you something, there is not one that I have ever mentored or done energy healing with that does not carry some deep, dark emotions of regret, of guilt, and wish they never had done that.
Mhm,
Every
mhm,
single one of them.
mhm.
And it, because the allure of the money, the powerful people that are involved, it's easy.
Definitely.
That's why they go after them young, because not only do they like the look, but they're very easy to impress and start to brainwash.
With money.
And it is, it's quick money. I would rather be my barefoot savage bandit ass asking for help than to take away my values or my morals.
You
And
got that on right now, okay? So yeah, we on it, baby. We on it.
even when I was in the streets and all of the things that happened to me, I always stuck up for the women that were in those situations. They knew that they could come to me if their pimps were chasing them, trying to groom them, trying to do that. They knew they could come to me and I would stand up and I'd be like, no, you need to leave her alone. She's trying to, she wants to change. She wants to get away from you. Stop harassing her. Stop
Mhm,
coming after her,
mhm.
because that's not okay. it
Uh,
you know it, it's really sad, and I do hope that people reach out, and I do hope that people start to become aware, and so that we can help them.
Absolutely. And use everybody, and I'm not even gonna talk about only children. If the shoe feet fits, wear it. If
Yes.
you are in a situation right now when you think you are hopeless, eh, even let's say that even if you marry, because that doesn't matter. Some people try to lure you into this illusion that everything is great in the beginning and so on. Everything's love. We call it love bomb.
Yeah.
It's so great in the beginning, and then everything crashes. Just getting treated like shit, male or female, it doesn't make a difference. Get treated like shit. Freaking, you only get used for sex or whatever other things out there. And that's all you do. And they give you
Yeah.
the illusion of, oh, you maybe probably might be thinking, hey, listen, things are gonna get better. This is gonna get better it's gonna come back to what it was before. What is wrong with me? And so on. Listen, a lot of times it's not what's wrong with you because you haven't done shit wrong.
Right.
These are tactics that we use, and we are not expert on anything, but you get the point.
Yes.
Uh, that it gets used to be able to keep those people in check, to
Yeah, under
keep
their
them where
control.
they are, under, just like Nina said, under their control, their grasp. You can go anywhere because I can choke you, I can even kill you, and you ain't gonna do it yet.
Yes, they
So
manipulate
therefore,
them.
if you feel that you're in that situation and you think it's safe enough to call 911, by all means do so. Get out of that situation. Abuse and violence is not only, and it's no gay shit, it's no weak shit. The fact of the matter is that abuse and violence is not only physical, it's when, as a United States Marine Corps combat veteran, war gets won 90% mental, 10% physical. The physical is there, but the physical is there because of the mental. The
Yeah.
mental trumps the physical. So therefore, a lot of this is mental. Just if you think that the shoe fits and you are in a bad situation, if you can do anything to get away, get a better life for you and your children, by all means. And to the men out there, listen, you're not a pussy and you are not weak if you're in the same situation. Okay, it happens
Right.
both. The problem
Yes.
is that as men, we gotta have this persona. We gotta be the
Oh,
Supermans. And if
yeah.
you speak or try to do anything or do anything besides what is inscribed in this bubble, in this little square that you need to be, you're a pussy, you're not a man, and this and that. That is not true. Like, for real, the only way you're gonna be a real man, that lion that you truly are, and the lioness that you truly are, you gotta be able to identify what the abuse is, get the help that you need within the task force, 911, any other organization out there that want to help you, and just start leading the way. And with that being said, somebody what I was talking to Nina last night, right? And so she was talking about something sexy that it was her idea, completely her idea. And like,
You
no
froze.
way. Because she like, huh?
I
Oh,
said
well,
you
now
froze for
twice.
a minute.
Oh yeah. But no, she been in the podcast like once. With this one, maybe twice. I could be wrong, but twice. And I don't know, it's something that she said yesterday, like, no way. But I think she actually doing it. Any other ring a bell, my sister?
The what now? So I didn't. It froze, so I didn't. I didn't
Uh,
hear what you said. What were we talking about last night? Oh, I said. Well, I definitely not ever didn't do toxic relationships again. Oh yeah, I said if I wanted, yeah, that if I'm not going to bring home somebody to be with my children or be in my family that doesn't value me and that we don't have a good connection and we're not in an alignment. I live in a downtown area. If I just needed to get my physical looked after, I would just give them a fake name, go to the bar, hit the hotel, and come home. I am going to bring
yeah.
that into my home because I don't want my children to get the impression that that's okay. I want my son to grow up like in his adopted parents, they have a really good marriage, right? My Shima, my native mother, she has a great marriage with her husband, 20, 30 years marriage. Like those are the kinds of relationships I want my children to go after in life. A lifelong relationship built on mutual respect, love, the same views, the same goals, and and grow together because that is real love. Like you said in the beginning, it's hormones, it's lust, it's like all these things are going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but what's going to sustain our relationship? We have to be like-minded individuals, and we have to keep that fire going. I'm being almost 50 now. I really value intelligence and the inside, right? You got to be good. Like, how are you with your family? Are you a good father? Are you good to your parents? Or what are you doing in your own life that would make me say, hey, I definitely want to do more than one date, right? I
Absolutely.
so because I've been abused. I'm a warrior. I'm a survivor. I don't ever want to go back to that dark place of having somebody manipulate me or telling me I'm not worthy of great things because I know that that's not true. I have learned to overcome all of that stuff. And now it's just like, it's not that I sit home and wait, but I know that God has a plan for me, so I don't worry about it. A lot of people get into the recovery and get into their sobriety, and what do they do? They change drugs for sex. The next thing is let's go have a bunch of sex because it feels good and it boosts our dopamine and serotonin. Like, yeah, so it gets you going, right? But you're not building valuable relationships that way. They even say, if you have a mentor or a coach, you're supposed to wait at least a year in recovery before you start building any type of serious relationship with somebody because you're still figuring yourself out. Your brain is still healing, you know? So, but yeah, if you just want to go have fun, there's all kinds of places for adults to go and do that. And yeah, and and just don't bring it home. I've learned that too. Like I've learned that my children, I needed to learn some things, right? And so I did, and I've corrected them, and it's always a work in progress. Um, but keeping them safe and healthy should be every parent's main goal. And if
Yes.
we're lacking in something, then we need to find out how we can go and learn and get better, what programs, resources, nonprofit, whatever it is that you can navigate in your community, so that you can learn and find that support group, and see how other parents are doing it, what works for them, and try to implement those things at home. That's where it starts, is just realizing that some of us need help. We may not have been raised in, a family that's like, they all dress up in the same Christmas clothes. And I always see that. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. They got cute outfits. Like, yeah, no, my family, we're islanders as well. Like, we're Tongan, so it is a real, it's a whole different atmosphere, and I love it. And the acceptance and the love and the support and discipline. My son's father, who's like my brother now, he was Mr. Universe #1, retired from Tonga. So when I'm saying that he was beyond the strongest man competition. He's like 6'7", like he is huge, man. He's retired now, but his son, my other brother, Lil Maka, he is huge. And I'm just like, you guys, and they do that haka, the hua in my ori, and I'm like, oh, I gotta train, because when I first met them, I didn't know if my son was safe. I didn't know if he was being looked after. So in my mind, I got to get tougher, because what if I got to go get him out of here? I am going
Yes,
to,
so cold.
I'm just so grateful that they are one of the true exceptions in the foster care community. Um,
Mhm.
and I love them. I always say I wish that more of these parents that took in these children did what you did for the kids. And you let the children reach, if they want to communicate or connection, you allow that to happen,
It's very important to do.
because it's
Every
important.
Absolutely. Parents, I know. I do not understand one thing. Listen, if you're a parent, any parent, I don't care who you are. I don't care you raised. I don't. It doesn't matter. If you're a parent, if you're a dad, if you're a mom, if you're a guardian, you're a parent. Okay. The fact of the matter is that every child is yours. Every
Yes.
single one of them. Let's not this nonsense. Oh, not my child, and this and that. Because most of them, that my child type of shit, those are the rescues that we gotta go on.
Yeah, it takes a
Right? So
village.
therefore, it's not my child, this and that. The fact of the matter is, listen, everybody treat each child as their child, as your child. With every children need protected. You want to stop and slow down dramatically human access trafficking? You in the park, put your fucking phone down. Be a man, be a woman, be a parent. Put your fucking phone down. Watch the children, but then not only watch your children, watch the other children. And
Yeah.
everything looks normal. Anything that is not ordinary. So something look odd on the whole 9 yards. I didn't even asking you to be Superman. Just look, just
Just
put the
be
fucking
aware.
phone down. Put it
Yeah.
down. You don't need it if you're watching the kids. You're watching, you letting a fucking device actually let life pass you by. Like honestly, put the fucking phone down. And
Yeah,
when
that's a
you are
huge problem.
in
This is
anywhere public, watch
this
the
is a
kids.
drug,
Exactly.
and
Like
it's
it's
overtaken
insane.
so many adults and children. This
Mm.
is all they do. They're just on this device all the time, and they're not paying attention to what's really going on, and then they wonder why their children run away. They wonder why they're having problems in their marriage or in their home, is because
That
this
would
is,
never happen to me.
you
I got
know
a lot of those.
and I'm in the matrix a lot, but I'm not, it doesn't consume me. I still get out and I go walking and I still build connections, and I'm always spending time with my son and his brother, that from the tribe. They're always coming over here. My home is a home so that they have a place to be and they be safe. And I have my rules, like I give my home to my son. I says, this is a stepping stone for you for your generational wealth. I says, where we live, it the it has just blown up as far as real estate goes. I says, and because you have your learning curve and you're on the spectrum, I says, you always have a home paid for cash. You never have to worry about it, kid. I says, so that way you learn how to save and invest and build your future. and I'm still going to help you. You know, I'm always going to be here for you until I can't be anymore. And I want to leave you a legacy that you can draw on so that you stay independent.
Hmm.
Because our children's well being is so important. They're our future.
Absolutely. Put the
And
fucking phone down. Take care
yeah,
of your kids. Be watchful. It doesn't take much. A couple seconds, boom, they're gone.
yes,
We're gonna be calling the police. The police is gonna be calling us, or we're not gonna see the press release and be like, "Hey, you guys, York Police Department, do you guys need any help? Cool. How long has it been? Let's go ahead and find this child, and so on and so on." So never think. Actually, I'll give you guys a couple tips. Number one, never think it's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Because hopefully it never does, period. Let's just be clear. I much rather be not doing this than having to do it. Because having to do it, that means there's a child in danger for the most part. Okay. So what do I prefer? Being able to do this? I don't do this for Facebook likes. Like everything that I do as of now is out of pocket and it costs a lot of money. And take a wild guess, I'm not rich. So it
right,
hurts,
me neither.
but the mission is definitely worth it. Your children, just like I said before, every single child is my child. Your children, my child, is definitely worth it. And I will die doing this. To my last breath, I'm gonna do everything that I can to rescue your child, to help your child, and the whole 9 yards, even if it's a runaway. To be clear, if you know, you know.
Yes,
The fact of the matter is that number two, for your children, I'm gonna give you a short and long term strategy. Number one, even as babies and even as they grow, you can even do it every 5 years. Just take a poster board or whatnot, put some clay or whatever that finger paint, boom, on the board. Now you got fingerprints. Why do you want
oh,
fingerprints? One, easier to identify. But two, there's been, and guys, fucking listen, pay attention, ears. There's some cases, the life expectancy is 10 years when you traffic. 10 years. If you made it past 10 years, you're a freaking god or goddess. Trust and believe. Because most people are not going to even make it to three. Now, um, for those people that are able to break away, and maybe they got sold to a rich people and this and that. Those fingerprints, eventually they're gonna have to use them. Maybe they want to buy a gun. Maybe for any they're going for a job or so on, and
right,
then those fingerprints. Those fingerprints are gonna let them know who they truly are. And once they are on record, they never go away. So you want those fingerprints. Also, really important birthmarks. What I like to do, what I personally do, and now I'm not planning for my children to get kidnapped. Don't be fucking stupid. But
right,
if it were to happen, the last thing that you want to do is like most of these cases be, hey, they were wearing this. I think the colors of the eyes is blue. No, you want to have a piece of paper on the time that you're gonna be most stressed the hell out because you are missing your child for
right.
whatever reason. You want to know the hair color and so on. Have it on a piece
Height, their weight,
of paper.
distinguishing
The
mark.
the whole 9 jars. The birthmarks, everything, even in the body that people cannot see, because those are called identifiers. Unless they burn it off, it's not going away. So
Right,
therefore, you want those identifiers. Best case scenario, they see an identifier. This maybe have missing half a finger, whatever the case is. The fact of the matter is, maybe they'll rescue them in the future. But how about not? What happens if not? Don't you, if the person was still alive that got kidnapped or whatever the case is 10 years ago, you still would love to see that person break free if you're still alive
yeah, if you're still
and
alive.
see them there. So therefore, all those identifiers, especially with the internet and everything else, it's gonna help you a lot more for them to be able to identify. Not all cases about child porn and this and that. Some cases they get bucked, and they are since they are babies, it's a lot easier to manipulate because they don't know any better. They don't even know anything. Lawyers will find a way to make a fake birth certificate and social security number. I have a lawyer that actually told me how they do it, how they fly them to be able to come back to make it official.
My
And
husband,
come
my
back.
husband, my son, my oldest son's father, he was born in Guanajuato. So I knew how to get social security documents so that he could work. So it's not that hard to go. And when we lived in California, my tío drove all the way down to San Jose, California. And you go into the barrio, you know what I'm saying? There's always somebody there that knows how to print those things out. And they look real. And the IDs look like, it's just like us Americans, we're 19 and we're like young, dumb, and full of you know what, right? So we want to get our fake IDs because we want to go into the bar. Um, those, yeah, those things look real, and it's very easy to get them, for a couple $100.
Especially with AI, it'll do
Yes.
almost
Oh,
everything to it.
yeah. That's one of
Something
the
can-
downsides of AI.
Mhm.
So, but I'm going to have to sign off here soon because I have got to go to the restroom.
Oh, if that being the case, I'll tell you what. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do a follow up, and
Okay.
we'll take it from there. Nina, thank you very much for having being here. You are so amazing. You're unbelievable. I can't wait for the second episode when we have a really special reveal, something about maybe a podcast, maybe a TV network. You never know what's coming on next. But with Nina, there will be a for the first time ever there will be a second episode. There will be a follow up, and it will be done before the end of this week. Until then, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Nina, I love you. Thank you very much. And you know damn well that I'm going to bother you while you are in the pooper.
I love you too, Dennis. I'll talk to you on the phone. I'll
All
talk to you
right.
soon.
All right.
Okay. All right. Bye bye.
I love it.